Hi everybody, it is Sharon from Vivid Days. My hair is wet, I'm going oh curly today, scrunched it, going 80s. And we're about to head out to the Museum of Canberra today. And we've got a tour book, so looking forward to seeing what's there. But hope you're well, hope you're safe, and thank you so much for coming back and spending some of your precious time with me. Today's video is an acrylic seascape, and this one's a bit stormy, and it was a challenge for me because I wanted to see, could I create a wave that is in the middle of the ocean and it looks like it's stormy and it's crashing. So how can I create a little bit of movement, a little bit of force, see the different tones coming through and actually understand what it's meant to be, a wave. Anyway, I hope that you can see that from this video. Somebody's just walked past, I'm not really weird to them. And I hope you enjoy walking through this with me. Obviously, there are lots of edited out sections to save you some time, but I've kept all the key elements. I've kept how I break it down, and I started with just mapping out the colours, understanding the composition, and even at the very end I went back and I tweaked my sky, because I think it's important that you have an idea in your head and you go with the flow and you stand back and you look at it. And I've, because I'm in this very small apartment at the minute, I have my painting that I'm working on an easel, one for easy use, to try and make sure I'm getting at least a video every Monday out with you. But secondly, I sit down and I look at it, and that's not from a big head point of view, that is just what bugs me, what looks good, what do I want to tweak, am I happy with it, does it feel like it's done for me and that I can add no more value to it, and what have I learned from it. So yeah, I created it with blocks of colour, got my sky in, mapped out where my wave colours I thought would go, and then started working with it and did the dance, changed it, tweaked it, restrained on the foam, and I tried to keep it more towards the front, and I'm practicing putting my little ripples in there. I hope I've said that right. Anyway, I really enjoy this piece and I'm really proud of it, and I still have to coat them, and when I coat them the colour's going to come out beautifully. But I'd love your thoughts. Can you see the movement in the wave or the ocean? Does it connect with you as different tones in the ocean? What do you think to it? Do you want me to continue to share more of these? Anyway, thumbs up, subscribe, share, comments always welcome, and thank you so much again for spending some time with me. And hang in there, people that only like resin on my channel. It's a costly affair building up your supplies again. Most of my stock or products are in the UK, not resin, I'm buying that all here. So each time I get a bit of pay, I'm putting a little bit of money towards it, and should be able to start putting purposeful resin art back out there with you. But yay, enjoy, and I'll see you next time. And me and Ethan are going to go and enjoy the museum. Bye bye. We're working on canvas today. It's a 40 by 30 centimetre. I'm just applying some clear gesso to my canvas to help have my acrylic paint glide over that canvas. I'm helping it with my hairdryer, just dry it up a little bit, and I am starting to map out my composition very lightly. I'm going to try a stormy ocean, and I wanted to work out where the skyline was going to be, where the waves going to rise, and that just helped me. The colours we're using today, it's only 4 colours: phthalo blue, turquoise, Payne's grey, white. The brushes, I call it a large round chisel brush because it's got graduated edges. I come in towards the end with a detailed brush and a palette knife. Now within this project, use whatever colours you bond with, and I put a little bit of focus in the sky, but the sky wasn't going to be the hero, but it did want to complement the rising ocean wave. And I wanted the blue and the turquoise that I'm going to add to really stick out against that grey. Now I've cropped a lot of this out, but you get the essence of what I'm doing. I'm basically doing a dance with my my brush and my sky, and doing circular motions and trying to keep it loose, and letting the paint drag off onto that canvas and let those clouds form. And in the words of Bob Ross, which is getting a shout out every video at the minute, is lazy clouds. Now with clouds, I just think it's go with the feeling, go with what you're happy with, stand back, have a little look. You can work wet on wet or wet on dry, you'll get different effects. For me, I wanted them to look like they were heavy clouds and it was winter, but I didn't want them to be too dramatic, but I wanted you to really have the essence of, that power in that ocean and the stormy weather that we're having ahead. I kept most of the highlights of the clouds fairly loose, and I come in towards the end and you'll see me add a little bit of dark grey to where the clouds are meeting the ocean, just to help give a little bit more dramatic edge to the piece. And I'm slowly adding a little bit of water just then, just to help blend through some of those colours here. Now I slightly curved that. It's just the way I wanted my clouds to be as they meet the horizon. And it also helps trick the mind about the earth not being flat and it being round. But again, just do it however it speaks to you. And then I always think start slightly lighter and then slowly graduate it until you get that balance that you're looking for. Now with my horizon, I didn't want there to be too much of a dramatic difference between where the clouds meet the ocean and the bit of the ocean that you do see, because I think that's going to help when it comes to bringing the 3D-ness of that wave forward. Anyway, my nail's calling me, so I'm just going to have to pause this and talk again very soon. Okay, wife duties are done. It was lovely to hear from my Neil, but I am back here to continue talking with you. With the clouds, I was trying not to overwork them. To be honest, they weren't working how I wanted them to start with, and there was once that I wiped them all out again and started with my base and built it up again. And the only reason I've not showed that to you is just to save you time with it being a long video, but that's the worst that can happen. You just have to get some paint, blank it back out again and start again. And if you're not sure about clouds, have a go at working with very little paint on your brush and scuff. At the minute, you'll see I scuff a lot. Now, I know that's probably not everybody's preferences, but for me, when I scuff, it means there's very little paint on my brush. And as you can see, it comes out to start with, but then it doesn't spread very far, and then I'm scuffing at the moment, and that means that the residual paint on your brush will be dragged onto your canvas, but it won't be even, and the colours and the tones underneath will still come through. So I feel that adds value for me in my style of painting. Removing my canvas, I'm removing my canvas from the board. No, my masking tape. Now, never be afraid to use masking tape if you want to help with that horizon. With this, it didn't have to be perfectly straight, because if you look at any photos as a reference, if it's stormy, it's not necessarily going to be straight, and you've got the movement of those waves. But I did it just to help me understand where that's going to be. Now I'm dragging my sky colour into my ocean to make it look like it's reflecting, and that part just there that you see me doing there has inspired me to want to come and do a moon ocean tranquil scene. Just sharing a little bit about something I'll be working on in the future. Now, I've left this in just to show you how I go about loosely creating a dramatic, distant ocean scene. As you see, as I work through the project, I do work on this again. And that's just because art is a journey for me, and I tell a story on the canvas, and I have something in my mind to start with, but then it might go in a different direction, and I myself am willing to go back in there and tweak it and change it until I'm right, because I'm on a learning journey with this, and I am enjoying the process of discovering different effects. Or if the composition doesn't feel right to me, I'm willing to go back and correct it until it speaks to me. But with this, I found a lot of it came with just letting the paint drag off my paintbrush onto the canvas, reflecting the sky colour in there, not having too much paint on there. Now, I'm working on the left at the moment, but on the right, you see it's slowly dulled out, and that came by once I'd got the paint in how I wanted it. I then put water on my brush, only a little bit, There's no paint in there. But then that was enough for me to just drag it across and it blended it in, so it softened it a little bit. And then you come in with some highlights again if you want to. But at that stage I decided to leave my ocean as it is, because I understand now where my horizon's going to be. I understand the choppiness of where it wants to be. But I now wanted to start to pay attention to the wave, the part that is crashing and rising up above the horizon. Now, in my mind, just so you know what's going on, a bit of self-doubt was creeping in here, because I've never done one with this composition before, and I'm learning how to do this. And people who've been subscribers to my channel or my videos will know that I never really master anything. I like to learn, challenge myself, because I think it's very good for my mental well-being, but also keeping my brain healthy, learning. And I learn by doing. And I tend to want to keep pushing myself. Now, I'm a big believer in displaying your art around you so that you can keep looking at it and have fresh eyes or different perspectives and think, what do you enjoy? What don't you enjoy? What worked? What didn't? But more importantly, what can you take forward to the next piece of art that you're going to work on? And that's what I strive for as a human being and as somebody who wants to be an artist and somebody that enjoys creative. It's that learning journey, and it's about understanding, and that's what I think. Although when I say I don't fear making mistakes and sharing it with you and putting my art out there, I do it because I hope to encourage everybody to give things a go. And some people will say, oh, I can't paint that, and we all have different skill levels or a base level, but a lot of art is muscle memory, and it's trying, it's being willing to fail, and it's being willing to improve. So we'll all have a base level, but you can definitely learn tips and tricks. You can train your brain, and you can definitely improve by practicing and watching it. And that's been my, I want to say ethos, big word for Sharon. And that's why my channel came around, which was to, one, keep me honest with my art, hopefully inspiring other people to give it a go, and me sharing any knowledge that I've gained with you all, but also to help people with well-being and mental well-being. And art was therapy for me in a time that I needed it, and I watched artists on YouTube, and it really helped me with confidence and understanding. And that's what I hope my channel is. But I've digressed a little bit. I'll get off my soapbox and I'll explain a little bit about what's happened and why there was a chunk of video missing just there. Basically, I was painting and my Neil called, so I film on my phone and I couldn't film while I was talking to him. All I did was work out where my shading's going to be. Now, have a reference photo if you need, and I'm working wet on wet and trying to blend the colours through. And I am using a mixture of my phthalo blue with white, my turquoise with white, and my Payne's grey with white, and also using my Payne's grey with some of the blues in there and some of the different colours. Now, to start with, it ends up looking like a paint by numbers for me, but where the ocean is moving, it's not going to be one flat colour. You're going to get a lovely mixture of the lighter where the ocean is whooshing, whooshing up to the top. So you're going to get to see more transparent, those lighter colours, into the darker tones where there's going to be depth. So I was trying to play with understanding where that power of the ocean is, and it's rushing up to that point of that wave tip. And you'll see the variations of this change a little bit, and that's just as I evolve and as I understand where I want it to go. I just keep playing with it and doing the dance. Overall, the composition doesn't change, just maybe the tones of where the colours are, and sometimes I overwork it, and so I come back and I bring it back to those colours. But I think it really did help me blocking out my colours, working on the tones, and then I sat on it overnight and I was watching a movie and I had it to the side of me and I kept looking at it in different lighting, different angles to see, can you see the essence of a wave and water rushing? I really do enjoy these tones, and I really enjoy that Payne's grey with the phthalo blue in there, which is where it currently is. And I think that's been the joy of practicing and learning, is when you mix up your own colours, you get to see future colours that you'd love to work with, and different shadings, whether they're warm colours or cooler colours is what I'm trying to say. And I wanted to try and create 3D within this wave, and that's another thing that the different tones and colours supports, tricking that mind to give you that sense of 3D. I think one final thing what I took into consideration here is realising that I'm going to layer it, and also the bottom part of the wave, which I'm working at now, I wanted that to be quite dark, because that's the area that's maybe got the most rushing water and the deeper water, and it's going to blend and complement the tones of the water that's far away. And I wanted the right side to be flatter. So the goal at this stage, other than just blocking out my colours, is to think about, I want most of the movement or obvious movement to look like it's on the left side, and the right side is going to be a little bit more, I want to say smoother, but less churn of the ocean. That's what I'm going to say. But if you're enjoying my video so far, remember, thumbs up, subscribe, share, comments always welcome. Let me know what you think to this style of video. And if you have learned anything, or if you are inspired, remember hashtag Sharon Lindley inspired me. That's a great way of me locating your art. It really does give me pleasure to see what you've created. And also, I really love engaging with you all. So sorry that I have been very delayed with responding to your comments. You probably will have known, if you have left a comment, that I'm working my way through them. I made a commitment to respond to every comment, and because I'm not putting a huge volume of videos out there, and my channel has stopped growing, it's given me the opportunity to connect back. So that's going to lead me into the next thing. People have been asking me, where have you been, Sharon? And what are your life updates now you've moved to Canberra? For people that have been on this journey with me, I relocated here in early April. Yeah, wow. So a couple of months leading into that, people got to see me packing up, closing down and saying goodbye to family, friends, my husband and my fur babies, and me coming over to Canberra to get settled. My husband Neil came over to help me with my first apartment and get settled in, and he had to go back to the UK until our fur babies, our dogs, Thor and Zeus, had their rabies injection and stayed in the country for 180 days after they have their injection. And in the meantime, we've been working with a pet transport company to get the permits for the dogs to come across with us. We decided not to bring Aries and Hades across with us, which has broke our heart. But the reason being, they're very outdoor cats. They've been used to their freedom and walking around the woodland areas. And to make them do the plane journey over with us and to make them be indoor cats, we don't know if we sought advice from vets, multiple cat associations to get different perspectives, because within a heartbeat you definitely bring them here, but it's selfish and we bring them over here for us and not what's right for the cats. And because there are new laws or rules, I don't know what you call it, over in Canberra, where cats are not allowed on the streets or in certain suburbs at all, and other ones there's curfews. But how are you going to make cats come in for their cut-off at 5 o'clock? I don't know. Anyway, so Neil has found a couple that are going to take both of them, and we're going to rehome them in line with the Blue Cross. And they're going to have the freedom that they're used to and outdoor areas, but they're going together, and we know that they're going to get the love. So it's sad, but it's good that they are going to get what we want for them. Zeus and Thor have had their permits granted. Yay! So they're definitely allowed into Australia, but they still have to wait until their 180 days, which means at this stage They're on track to arrive in Australia on the 28th of September. They then have to do 10 days quarantine, and then they get delivered to our doors. And I have been missing the fur babies, which means that the house sale and settlement is all on track to go through in the time frame, and my Neil will be out with me in September. And what has been helping me is my son Ethan, after 2.5 years of not being with him, has finally joined me in Canberra. So he's been re-energizing my soul, and I feel more settled and content, and time is passing quicker. And I don't know about you, but mentally I cope with things when I'm past halfway, and we're past the halfway mark now, so it's countdown for Neil and the fur babies joining us. So apart from me and Ethan getting COVID within that first 2 weeks of seeing each other, so we couldn't really do any sightseeing, we have spent the last week being tourists of Canberra and going round to the local sightseeing place, and it's just been lovely hanging out with my Ethan. And my job, really enjoying it still, enjoying the area. I am over having 2 winters in a row, so looking forward to summer. But I do have to say, there's been some spectacular skies and scenery and inspiration, so it is going to be a gift. And I am now finally starting to get at least content out once a week, which will be Mondays, which I'll try and premiere so I can chat and engage with you. And then other than that, I am slowly building up my resin supply so that I can put more diverse art on my channel as well, and I'll slowly build that up. Anyway, that's a life update. People have been asking, so I thought I'd share. Let's get back to the art project now. As you can see, I am scuffing a lot, which means very little paint on my brush and just working on different tones and layering it. I think this is the second layer. Now you can stop at any stage you want, and you might be able to master this and do it first go. For me, I'm just working through it and trying to get the effects. And what I love about the scuffing is it's quite rough, and it what am I trying to say? The colours show through. It helps with that churn, and at each stage I just stand back and think, has it achieved what I want to achieve? If not, I go for it again. And if yes, I leave it. And sometimes I stumble across happy little accidents, and that's where I like the paint to take me on a journey. Now, if you've watched this the whole way through in its entirety, thank you very much. I know that time is precious for some people, so they may not have time to do this. Now, although it's not a true paint along where I'm what am I trying to say? I've edited bits out, and the only bits I've edited out is where you understand what I'm doing, or where I've repeated myself because I've not been happy, just to save you some time. But all the key elements I believe are in here, and you can understand what I'm doing. And hopefully there's enough content and understanding of what I'm doing that you can paint along with me, pause in relevant areas, or see how I'm going. But if you think it jumps all over, it's probably because it does jump all over, and realise that that's what you need to do within your art. Work on sections, build it up, walk away from it, have a look at it from different perspectives, because sometimes when you're in the moment of your art, you can be too in it, and you can forget to zoom out and have that helicopter view. And you can look back on your videos like I do and think, oh, if I'd have that magic pause button, I would have left that there. Or when I am going through this and editing it and looking back at it, I also found inspiration for future pieces as well, and it's also part of that learning journey. At the minute, I'm just trying to get it to make sense to me now. A lot of the depth, bringing in the darker shades, understanding how the side I'm working on now is connected to the lighter parts, but also connected to the distance. I'm now showing you how I build up the foam in here. There is a little bit of this shown very soon as well, but basically, as I've mentioned in my other videos, I start very loosely. Now this is a small round brush. It's a number 6, and use whatever brush you feel comfortable with. Very little paint is loaded on here again, so it is kind of scuffing. I'm not working with a true white. It is a white with a hint of phthalo blue in there, and I always work slightly darker off-white, and I usually do about 3. maybe 4 layers depending on where it is, with slowly graduating it until it's a pure white. The reason I wanted to just add a little bit of white here before I go and work onto other areas, it helps me understand where I'm going to with the story or with the journey of this. And I wanted to see, is that white going to contrast nicely between the sky? And you can see I've added slightly different tones in there. Again, I'm now adding grey. I've just done the dance of getting the shades in there until I'm happy, and it's many layers built up over time, and I encourage you to do that. And I'm still trying to make sense and make that part connect there. I'm sorry for the next little bit of footage, because I'm zooming in trying to get you to see the detail work I'm doing. My automatic focus of my camera keeps coming in and out, so I've tried editing a bit of that out. At the minute, what I'm trying to do is make sense now to make them look like you've got the slight ripples in the water here, and even though there's not going to be a lot of detail at this side, I do want it to look like there is that wave and that movement there. So you can sort of see that now, but I did add a little bit of phthalo blue to do a little bit of the contrasting colours. So although it's still quite dark down there, I wanted to bring in a little bit more blue, so I added some more phthalo blue, and that was scuffed into there. Now I'm trying to work out where would the foam parts be within this wave. And again, I did some, and then I came back and edited it out. And you think, well, how do you edit it out, Sharon? Well, you just come back with some colour over the top of it. So in the foreground to the left, you can see there's tiny little bits of white, and that's where I added some foam and I didn't like it. So I just got my paintbrush with a little bit of water, brushed it out, but left some of it in there, because your tones are not always going to be the same colour and white the whole way through. You're going to get that sense of movement underneath as well as on top. So yeah, I hope it's all making sense. Anyway, I'm starting to now highlight a little bit more where some of that foam is in the distance, and those two waves that are crashing up there a little bit. I just wanted a little tone of the lighter turquoise colour, just so you can see that has risen up a little bit. And I'm slowly going to work myself now, filling in all the foam areas, and again graduating that colour from the off-white up to the pure white. And I'm going to have loose brush strokes to try and make it look like there is foam coming down that waves as well in certain areas. And for me, I'm trying to understand, how does this work? I've not really done it before this close up. And so a lot of it was doing the dance, going in for the detail work now, and standing back and knowing when the balance is too much or not enough. And so I think I've taught you through as much as you're going to need for this video. Scuffing is the way to go. Little brush paint on your brush and then those detail things really make it pop. So you see me come with my brush and doing all the foam, doing my lines down the wave to help with that brain connect that's moving up or moving down. And then I finally come in with a little bit of palette knife, and what I do in my palette knife is I dab my palette knife onto the white paint but have virtually nothing on there, and then dab it off, and then slowly in a circular motion. You have to go very restrained with it with the palette knife, because you don't want a big glob of paint on there now and ruining all that hard work. So like I've got a circular motion going on with my brush, I do that with a palette knife. And what the palette knife gave me was the sense of bits of the ocean jumping up and spraying out. And that helped with that sense of movement and 3D. And the canvas itself grabs the paint off your palette knife. And you see me also scuff my palette knife over the waves. That's very, very little paint on there, but that again is to allow little beads of water to look like that is creating that sense of movement. So yeah, I'm now going to add a tiny little wave there. So again, very little paint on there. And slowly building it up, and I'm showing you there the movement of where the ocean's going to be. And I think you can see all the little bits of movement that I've done just with my brush, dragging it down to help with that sense of churn in the ocean. Now, I'd love your thoughts at the end. With this being my first one of this type, did you enjoy seeing this video? Do you enjoy seeing the different colours? Now, you might think, well, Sharon, why have you done all those different colours and you're covering it up with foam? Well, that's the part that gives back. So it's important that you understand that your different tones will add value and help with that sense of movement. So thinking about the bigger picture or the end results, you're always 3 stages ahead, maybe 4 stages ahead with your painting. And those little details or things that you put into for the underneath will add out when you're doing this detail work over the top. So you can see I've just got a very loose motion, try and keep it random, and just trying to help with the essence of where that wave is going. Anyway, I'm Sharon, I'm digressing. I just want to say thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope that this video has added value. I hope that you are inspired to give this a go, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Is it a fail or is it a nail? Is it nailed it, failed it? Can you remember that show? It was a cooking show, wasn't it? Failed it, nailed it. Anyway, thumbs up, subscribe, share. Comments are always welcome. Let me know what you think to this. I'm just going to add a little bit of music now to finish this off. If you are here on my premiere, thank you so much. If you are watching this after it has premiered, you want to see what the conversation was happening, pop into live chat. And you can see any commentary that went on there. Anyway, I'm going to go. Got a couple of days until it's my Ethan's birthday. Getting this video uploaded a week in advance. But I'm going to love you and leave you. See you on the next one. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.